Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Wild Yoga Tribe podcast. I'm your host, Lily Allen Duenas. Together, we'll talk about the world of yoga and we'll talk to people from around the world. Before diving into the episode, I wanted to invite you to head on over to my Patreon. It's brand new, newly minted, bright and shiny, and I would love your support. I'm thrilled to be launching this online community space where we can do yoga together, meditate together, and you'll get access to exclusive content. Get ready for some private Zoom Q&As, free printable art, meditation recordings, and more. Follow the link in the bio to get started. Ready to dive in? Let's go. Welcome back to the Wild Yoga Tribe podcast. Today, I'm joined by Alberto. Alberto is a yoga teacher from East Timor, and I'm so excited to hear more about him and his story. He first was introduced to yoga in his 20s, and in 2018, he began learning yoga, and his practice quickly progressed, and he started teaching with his fellow students and family members. He began his yoga teacher training course and internship with Dili Ashtanga Yoga in East Timor, and that's where he teaches now. So welcome to the show, Alberto. I'm happy to have you.
I'm also so happy to be able to join in this interview.
Amazing. So excited to hear more. So to start off, Alberto, how did yoga first come into your life? How did you even hear about yoga? I would love to start at the beginning.
I moved from Manetomo, BC, rural village, from about 300 people in the mountain of Timor-Leste to Dili in 2012 to study at the university. And then with two Australian volunteers, with their assistance, we formed a youth organization. So this organization we call Juventude para Desenvolvimento Nacional. So organization, we create jobs for ourselves and also create jobs for other young people who come to Delhi for study. So this work either work part-time or full-time. I was working there in that organization for 4 years. I started yoga in September 2018. But when I joined yoga, because of one reason that I joined it. So at that time, 2018, I had an accident and I almost broke my knee. And then when I was there in Australia, and then I saw a doctor. And then she said, Alberto, you don't have any strength at all. You need a strength. And then she suggested me some of exercises that I need to do with my knee to strengthen my knee. Then when I came back to East Timor, to Timor-Leste, and then I tried it. Because I was by myself, it didn't successfully. So then one day, the two ladies in JDN, Jenny and Bernie, as our advisor of the organization. So they introduced us as a team in that organization, a yoga teacher from Dili Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga is the only yoga studio in Dili, Timor-Leste. And then they said, he is here in Timor-Leste looking for young people to be trained as a yoga teacher. And then, we said, okay. But at that time, I didn't know what yoga is. It's my first time. I just moved into Dili. I don't know much about it because I'm from rural area. So then in that time, it was about 18 of us from Juventude para Desenvolvimento Nacional. We came to see him for the first time. And then we practiced. And then after practicing for 3 months with Ahimsaka, he's the founder of Dili Ashtanga Yoga, I started yoga internship with him. And then after 3 months, I started to do my first class. And since then, I have been following yoga classes and then teaching yoga.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for telling us about how yoga first came into your life. And I think it's amazing that a doctor recommended to you, okay, do some stretches. This will help improve your body. And then when you came back home to Timor-Leste, or here in the US, I know we call it East Timor. When you came back home, then yoga just came into your life and that you were able to join with the founder of Dili Yoga, Ahimsaka. And I want to also ask you, how do you feel like yoga has changed your life?
The first one is strength. I have more focus, more concentration. I have my energy, my full energy. And also it can help increase my body flexibility. And then the most important one is my body awareness is increased. I'll be able to feel more my body and connect more with my body and then understand more my body.
Yes, absolutely. Yoga is an amazing tool for understanding, whether it is the body or the mind or the world or others. I think there's so much yoga teaches. So, Alberto, what is your definition of yoga?
From my personal perspective and experience about yoga, I would say yoga is like a tool for making my body and my mind calm and active at the same time. Yoga brings awareness to my own self and to the things around me.
That makes complete sense. So, do you have a very powerful lesson that you've learned from yoga or a gift that you want to speak about that yoga has given you?
Yes, yoga, it's about connection with your own mind and body and bring peace to yourself and to the world. We feel a lot better. We feel more connected. We feel with the nature, with the people, with anything. We feel better inside. Then we also connect better with people.
Yes, yes, we do. And in terms of when you did your yoga teacher training, what was that like? I would love to hear more about your experience doing your yoga teacher training at Dili Yoga with Ahimsaka.
My training was in yoga internship that is still continuing basically. I had a couple of months intensive together with a Belgium student. We learned about anatomy, philosophy, adjusting, methodology, and practices various styles. Dili Ashtanga Yoga Studio is inspired on Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga, but also has Hatha Yoga, Yin Yoga, Iyengar Yoga. Now I am teaching public classes, private classes, and corporate classes. And then also I also involves in training youth to become teachers. And I also have classes with the Special Olympics for people with Down syndrome. And for a while, I did some classes at prison with the prisoners, especially with the young people.
Wow, I didn't know that you teach yoga to such a wide range of people, not just corporate yoga classes, but also yoga for the Special Olympics and yoga for prisoners. Is there any amazing stories you want to share about teaching and why you like to teach yoga?
Yeah, basically connecting back to my own story and then what I felt afterwards. So I would say that it is promoting a healthy life and basically start from myself and to the other young people. And then one particular reason that why I am also investing my time in teaching and then I like to be like a teacher of yoga is because as I am a Baha'i and teaching yoga is giving me a lot of freedom to be able to organize and then to be able to follow and contribute to Baha'i community activities. And plus, many principles, many Baha'i principles are also coincide with the yoga philosophy. So that is, it really attracted me. And then one more thing is about learning more about the science of yoga, basically in our country that is newly independent.
Absolutely. Do you think there's something that people get wrong about yoga too?
Yes, in our country, people will think that yoga it is a religion. For some people, they think that when you practice yoga, it is to become a Buddhist. And then some other people, they think yoga can awaken your inner power or superpower, or other words, they call it Nagadalam, which is more related to martial arts. It's been a lot helpful that I learned in my faith, in the Baha'i faith, about the unity of religion, and then how I understand that all the religions of the world are coming from one source. So then it really helped me that even though some people try to say that if you practice yoga is about like a Hindu religion and this and many things influence this, I just don't care because in my mind my understanding is very clear that we need to appreciate that this we have the like oneness of religion, and then with that appreciation, it doesn't affect me at all. Thinking about it, only people about thinking, oh, is this like a practice of Hinduism and all this? And then, as I know, I said yoga is one tool that It can teach us about our mind and body being healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. You're so right. And that's so interesting that in Timor-Leste, so many people just think, oh, if you do yoga, you'll all of a sudden become a Buddhist or all of a sudden become a Hindu. So that's very interesting. I would love to know, in Timor-Leste and in Dili, is yoga popular? Are a lot of people starting to practice it?
Actually, I would say that so basically when we started, because daily Ashtanga yoga is only study. Basically we have to start from zero. So people we need to teach you, and then people need to like get the knowledge of yoga and then benefits, and then like I said, many classes have been like provided, like different places, different organizations, and then like public classes, and then some classes, especially for the Timorese, said you just come, they come for free, and then people understand more and more. But Timor, like I said, it's a new concept, and then it's also a new exercise. Those people that are actually have been abroad, maybe they studied there or they work there, they come back, they will join yoga, and then they know about yoga, and then they will practice. But those ones that they are here and it's new, so they are learning, they are assisting one another. So the yoga is still something that is, I would say, already 5 years now, 6 or 7 years now, but it's still like a new, very new to a lot of people. Some people, they don't know what yoga is.
Gotcha. Okay. And for those of our listeners who are not very familiar with Timor-Leste or with East Timor, could you tell them more about your country?
Yeah. In East Timor, I already like briefly described that people have no knowledge about yoga and other health. So on school, we did sport games, and now at the moment that in Timor, we have a few yoga teachers. It is still hard for people to come to yoga because of like some reasons, maybe money, transportation, they have a big family, or still little knowledge about the importance of health. So then I'm thinking for the future of yoga, through the efforts that we are like promoting yoga and teaching yoga, for future more people will practice yoga, and then yoga will be also established in other municipalities in Timor-Leste. So hopefully in future we can create a little bit of yoga tourism in Timor. So I would say in the lockdown, for the pandemic in Timor-Leste, we started doing yoga retreats to stimulate sustainable tourism and to benefit local communities. And then at this time, we provide free classes to the community, to people, to know more about yoga. And then we also work with higher education. So they are training teachers for English and then other programs that they have for people. So we work with them, and then we teach them, their teachers, and then they go back and they teach their students at the district. So more people now in the districts are engaged into yoga. So now about what East Timor is, or Timor-Leste is a country that is very close to Australia. And in fact, after Papua New Guinea, Australia is our nearest neighbor. And Timor-Leste is in fact half an island. The other half of the island is West Timor, which is part of Indonesia. And it is only take 1.5 hours or about 2 hours to fly from Bali, Indonesia, to Timor-Leste. Timor-Leste has many small areas, which we call municipalities. The main language spoken is Tetun, but there are also many languages, about 18. People also speak Bahasa, Indonesian language, because of the Indonesian invasion. And many people also speak Portuguese, because Timor-Leste was once a colony of Portugal. And Portuguese is the language used for teaching at universities, and also the language used for written laws and government policies. So this is because our local language, Tetun, is a speaking language, not a written language. So it is still developing language. So we still borrow many words from Portuguese or other, maybe one or two from Indonesia or English too. So it is a growing language. So Timor-Leste became an independent country in 2002 after a long and terrible war with Indonesia, which began in 1975. So I would say 1/3 of the population was either killed or displaced during our fight for independence. The reality of Timor-Leste is a country that children and young people are by far the biggest part of the population of the country. Then the Timor-Leste, some families are very large and young people are very active in community life. And then there are many challenges still facing our country. So Timor-Leste has one of the highest rates of deaths and illness in the babies and small children. And this is mainly due to the lack of good nutrition, as well as access to water and adequate sanitation. It is said that 46% of the schools in Timor-Leste do not have water, and 38% have water every day, and some schools have water one or two days a week. Now, I'm telling more about the beauty of Timor-Leste. We are a country of a natural beauty. Timor-Leste is surrounded by water. We have some of the most unique coral life in the world. Timor-Leste has one of the most unique habitats for clownfish in the world. And every year, more than 2,000 whales, as well as large sharks, dolphins, turtles, pass by Timor-Leste. Our country is increasingly becoming a center of ecotourism and diving. We have the most beautiful sunset and sunrise. And also, one thing that in our country is most people are farmers. So they hold their lives for supporting their family or their school, the children or anything is they depending on what they have. They have some food for eat and then little for also for selling. So many different crops are grown: rice, maize, cassava, coffee, and coconut, and other crops such as vegetables, fruits, pineapples, passion fruit, papaya, mango, and coffee. In the rural areas, people usually walk to the market and then they use horses to carry their products to sell in the market. The biggest income source is oil and gas, and then coffee is the only food export and is the third largest source of income for Timor-Leste. Coffee is being sold in Starbucks. So I would say, that in our country, many people now at this time face malnutrition and domestic violence and unemployment, lack of opportunity and bad and lack of infrastructure, poverty, lack of proper education, and lack of economic and self-dependence. So I would say that now our country of Timor-Leste is working with many aid organizations like UN to be able to together we develop the country of Timor. So that is actually a little bit like a brief about our country.
Thank you so much for sharing so much about your country. And if anybody is curious about learning more about you or about getting in touch, Alberto, is there a good website or Facebook or anything they can go to?
You can go to our Facebook page, Dili Ashtanga Yoga, and then you'll be able to reach out to us.
And is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners? Is there anything else you would like to explain or talk about, or any questions I didn't ask that you'd like to talk about?
So thank you for the opportunity, and then I am excited. I'm happy to be able to share my story of a little bit about my journey, how I get started of yoga in Timor, trying to also assist in other people to be able to benefit from the practice of yoga, helping the healthy life or healthy body or healthy mind, or also contributing to the world, one of the ways that contribute to the world too. I would say, if you ever heard about yoga or you know about yoga or you don't know, you can try to explore and try to practice or to try to feel for some time, and then you'll be able to see how magic yoga can give into your mind and body and your feeling in general, and then your connection, your thinking, or anything related to your life. Yoga is a science that can really help you identify or be more connected with your body or with nature, basically. So thank you again.
Thank you so much, Alberto, for being a guest on the podcast and for sharing your experience and wisdom with us. It's been a joy to be with you. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Wild Yoga Tribe podcast. My conversation with Alberto, a yoga teacher from East Timor, was so interesting as he walked us through what his country is like to live in with no sugarcoating, and what yoga has been like there in the present as well as in the past, as it's only been on the island for the last decade. I hope that this conversation made you want to learn more about East Timor and also to consider how yoga in spaces and places like in prisons or in corporate offices or with special Olympic athletes can be a gift for the whole community. If you're looking to tune into a podcast episode that's all about East Timor, A to Z, then this is the conversation for you. Thank you for listening to the Wild Yoga Tribe podcast. Be well. Thank you for the gift of your attention today. If you feel called, please share this episode with someone who you think could benefit from it. Leaving a review would also be so appreciated. I also hope you can join me online on my website, wildyogatribe.com, or on social media. I would love to get to know you better. I would love to share with you and to hear your thoughts. Send me a DM, send me a note, get in touch. It would be great to hear from you. And as always, be well, dear one, be well.